From the owner of one of Roblox's most iconic games posting illegal images of children, to allowing zoofiles and other terrible people to be unbanned and active in their game. Today we investigate the disturbing side of Rate My Avatar, and how the owner is single-handedly trying to cover up his tracks. However, before we start, I would like to disclaim that this video is made with educational purposes and is purely for documenting what happened within the Rate My Avatar community. I also want to add that this video is fair use and is not eligible for a valid DMCA takedown, and lawyers will be involved if it gets to that point. And big shout out to these people on screen now who helped me gather the evidence for today's video, and they were a big help in creating this. So before we get into the many controversial members, staff, and developers of Rate My Avatar, I must first explain to those who don't know what the game actually is. Rate My Avatar is one of the most iconic games in Roblox's history. The premise of the game is to create an avatar and have it be rated by people in-game. However, with the poor moderation of most RMA games, it has attracted some of the worst type of people you could possibly imagine. And today, we are investigating one of the biggest Rate My Avatar games and the deplorable actions of its owner. And when starting this investigation, I was approached to talk about three main people, this being the Zoglund, NXT, and Diamond Pasta, starting with a user that goes by the Zoglund. If you don't know, Zoglund owns White Star Studios and Coupland Studios and is also behind the Rate My Avatar game. However, you will find he doesn't directly own them now, instead using holder accounts so that it's not tied to his name in an attempt to save the game from being taken down by Roblox. This is so that when the video comes out and more people realize how bad of a person he is, it can't directly affect any of his groups or games, because at the end of the day, all Zoglund cares about is the money that is in his bank account. Zoglund has been exposed for many things within the RMA community. However, let me tell you everything this deplorable person has done, from posting CP in his own Discord server to unbanning a very long list of zoofiles, Nazis, and other horrible people. Zoglund has quite a long history of terrible decisions. Firstly, let's cover Zoglund's long history of racism. Not only does he freely use these racist slurs in his public server, but he also uses it in private, in an attempt to intimidate his staff members who he already treats poorly. Zoglund would even be caught on video being racist.
Wait, I'm leaving before he reports back up for that.
Dumb?
Bro, shit.
The racism displayed by Zoglund goes hand in hand with his opinion on transgender people and members of the LGBTQ community, with an instance of this shown when a transgender person applied to be a moderator, and after getting accepted and let into the trial mod phase of the application, Zoglund would quickly demote this person after expressing that he isn't comfortable with trans people and he can't let them moderate for him, despite the job of moderation not having anything to do with gender identity. After being confronted by other staff members, Zoglund still kept up his transphobic values, adding that there is no way he would be comfortable with someone on his moderation team being transgender, going on to add that, quote, "I'm not comfortable with trans people on the team," and that it, quote, "just feels weird," even going on to lie to the victim in this situation by just telling them they didn't make it through the application process, even though we all know the true reason they were denied. But the history of deplorable actions doesn't just end there, and in fact is only just the beginning, because not only is he racist and transphobic, but what is revealed next would be much worse. See, one of the main problems that the staff team had while working for Rate My Avatar is the amount of degenerate people who would use the server to spread illegal or disgusting images or just hang out. These degenerate people have always existed inside of Roblox and always will. However, it is up to each game's moderation team to sort out these people so they can't use their game for disgusting actions. But what if I told you Zoglund excuses these people? Well, that is because he does. Many types of degenerates, such as confirmed zoofiles, Nazis, CP distributors, and many unforgivable people would join Rate My Avatar, and with Zoglund's good moderation team, they were quickly on this. They would ban the members and move on as they should. However, the main problem, at least for Zoglund, is that banning these players reduces the player count and ultimately results in a lower paycheck for him, which is the trade-off for having a protected and good community on Roblox. You give up some money and don't have actively playing and using your game to take out their sick desires. It's a pretty good trade. But after seeing the very long list of banned users, Zoglund would go on an unbanning spree where he would unban every type of bad person. In this screenshot, we specifically see that he excuses someone who is being racist in game, notifying a moderator that being racist is not a perm ban and instead just a 3-day ban where the racist can just join back and continue their antics. In this screenshot, we see Zoglund state that ERP, which if you don't already know stands for erotic roleplay, which is where people will roleplay scenarios to fulfill their lonely lives. However, let me add, this isn't a children's game, the exact place where ERP should be perm banned, but Zoglund disagrees. See, this would get rid of most of his player base, so he can't allow that, instead stating that ERP is not a perm ban, adding that it's just a 1-day ban at maximum, and it gets much worse from here on out. However, we will touch on that later in the video. There have been many instances with particular staff members within the Rate My Avatar Discord where Zoglund can be seen taking out his lonely desires, but he would only do this with a few staff members, who will be staying anonymous for the purpose of this video. We see him describe probably the most fantasy I have ever seen to a staff member who was purely doing their job and didn't want this kind of harassment over Discord. He would just say weird shit to them. Like in this screenshot, we see him sending an AI generated image of a fat person running down the stairs, where Zoglund can be seen weirdly commenting on it, stating, "I don't know, that pic just turns me on sometimes." However, the person that Zoglund directed most of this weird behavior to wants to remain anonymous, so no further evidence can be used. But don't let that take away from the amount of degeneracy Zoglund displays. Zoglund, being money hungry, has also shown multiple instances of filing false DMCA takedowns on smaller games, as well as stealing assets and code from other games to use himself so that he makes more money. In this screenshot, we see someone in the public Rate My Avatar Discord asking Zoglund, "Did you DMCA'd again?" Where Zoglund can be seen confirming it, saying, "They got so annoying, so I just sent one." This false DMCA takedown was later confirmed in a deleted message where Zoglund would say, "My DMCA worked, LMFAO." However, not only were these DMCA takedowns filed with malice, but they weren't even legal, with proof of him submitting a DMCA takedown under a fake name, which if you didn't already understand is extremely illegal. However, luckily Roblox saw this illegal takedown request and rejected it respectively, but this still wasn't enough for Zoglund, as later on he would file a second DMCA takedown, but instead under his Zoglund alias. And he doesn't even hide his malicious intent either. A user within the RMA Discord asked Zog what got DMCA'd, where Zoglund would confirm, "I DMCA'd the other version, OG1, confirming that the illegal DMCA takedown went through. But this isn't the only time Zoglund has targeted smaller game studios or developers, as he would go after a small developer who goes under the name Hamez. This developer would make the game we all know and love called Please Donate. However, shortly after filing a false DMCA takedown on his game, Zoglund was able to steal the entire game and upload it on his own. We can see in this screenshot Hamez confirming that Zoglund stole all of his content in order to make his own replica game where he could make money from, confirming that Zoglund owned the game because it would link back to his studio Discord server. With the full conversation on screen now, pause if you would like to read. Okay, so now with the quote tame stuff out of the way, let's look at what Zoglund has done that is much worse than any racism or false DMCA. What you are seeing on screen now is the entire list of zoofiles, Nazis, racists, CP distributors, and more that have been banned in the history of Rate My Avatar. However, like I mentioned before, banning this many players directly affects Zoglund's pockets. Less players equals less money. However, a staff member would leak this recording of all the unbans that took place on the Rate My Avatar Roblox game, which were all made by one person, that being Zoglund. So his staff would ban these disgusting people from the community, only for the owner Zoglund to go ahead and unban the people. But this wouldn't just happen in the Rate My Avatar game on Roblox. The staff would also see these degenerates move over to their public Discord, and like a good moderator, these people would get banned. But instead of staying that way, Zoglund would personally unban them, which is weird because he doesn't even make money from the Discord. So realistically, there is no point of unbanning them there. However, this is far from what I'm going to be talking about next, that quite frankly, I can't even even believe happened. I genuinely don't understand how the owner of such big Roblox games could be this not just stupid, but disgusting. A staff member that used to work for Zogland in the Discord went under the name Muddy. We don't know how Zogland would get into possession of this image in the first place, but he would share this explicit image of Muddy in the public Rate My Avatar Discord server. But what makes this genuinely unforgivable is the image in question. Muddy was at the time 16 years old, making this much worse than it could have been. Not only did Zogland somehow get into the possession of this CP, but he would also spread it in a public Discord server for everyone to see, and who knows where else he could have saved or sent the image. So not only is Zogland racist and transphobic, he also false DMCA takedowns smaller games and steals the assets to use himself. He also keeps and unbans degenerates who run CP rings on Telegram. But not only that, he possessed and distributed a nude image of a 16-year-old, and this is the same person behind some of Roblox's most iconic games. However, with everything that went on, the victim of the situation, Muddy, would still come out and testify against Zogland in a lengthy Discord message that read, "The owner Zogland sent a picture in general of me that's from at least 6 months ago, and my ass cheeks were literally out, and then NXT blames that on me because all I did tell Zogland a joke that wasn't mean at all. Then he got pissed and sent me with my ass cheeks out all of the way when General was hella active, directly confirming that the allegations were true. Fortunately, this would be it in terms of the public allegations against Zogland. However, with all of this, I decided to investigate and get in touch with all of his staff members and possibly get a statement of what it was like working with or for Zogland. This is where an ex-staff member would message me a lengthy statement against Zogland reading, "Hello, I've chosen to remain anonymous because of the threat that Zogland poses, and this isn't related to RMA whatsoever, but more so of the groups and people he's affiliated in that could be a severe threat towards minors, any community he aligns himself with, or any person who decides to spite him." When I first met Zogland, he was questioned about being friends with certain people, and I thought this was peculiar because I didn't expect it from the owners of RMA, but apparently the world isn't so small. He's affiliated with known doxers and extorters that I've called friends in the past, and groups of people who may have the best interest at heart, but have also committed terrible acts. Zogland posting CP was only the tip of the iceberg, and anything I say could lead to severe and malicious retaliation towards me. I'm not afraid of Zogland. I'm more wary of the threat he could pose if he decides to snap and go after the ones who are speaking out about him. I joined RMA a while ago, and I was persuaded to join the staff team, where I met many kind people. And Zog was always kind and respectful towards me, but I wish he showed the same behavior towards the player base and other staff. A few weeks ago from today, there was an outbreak of staff posting CP in general and media chat, and once the player base got a hold of those images, the moderators were swarmed to delete edited photos, and it caused widespread moderational chaos. On another note, I've spoken to some mutuals of the owners of Please Donate, Hazem, who happens to be a victim of Zogland's DMCA and game theft. Any action further will be out of my hands and only be caused due to Zogland's own greed. He's taken no accountability for his actions, and hopefully karma will be swift. I would even manage to get into contact with some higher ups within the Rate My Avatar community who have worked directly alongside Zogland. This is what the first person would say.
Zog in total is not a good person. There are thousands of photos, not really thousands, but like 100 photos or screenshots, videos against him. He was a horrible person when he ran Coupland Studios, which Coupland Studios owns the game Please Donate but Infinite, which was a Please Donate game where he ripped off the entire map and stole it from Hazem, the original creator of Please Donate, on which Hazem made a Twitter post about to complain about 2 years ago about it. And in Coupland Studios, the Discord server had a bunch of channels where they would say very racist things, things that were not safe for work, and overall in general just things that you should not be saying, because he said himself that a lot of the people who joined Coupland Studios were like 13 and 14 in their Discord server. He even admitted himself at one point, I think in our moderation server, that he isn't used to moderating because he only had to moderate younger kids instead of people who were older and more mature when it came to moderation. He treats his staff horribly, so he doesn't listen to any of them when they tell him anything. And just recently, when he got outed and everyone was basically going at him overall in the mod server for his unbanning, where he unbanned over 1,000 people in the course of 3 days that our moderators were banning, which 2 of the head mods, I believe, went through and banned a group of 200 people, which consisted of zoofiles and people who distribute child over Telegram, and they banned every single one of them, only to find out the next day that every single one of them was unbanned, and a few of the people in that group were actually in game in RMA holding up signs of animal gore, like photos and bypassed images of animal gore in the game. So then they went through and banned them all again, only to find out that their bans only lasted about an hour before those people were all unbanned again. So in the Discord server, Zog basically tells all of the staff, stop complaining and get to work if you want all of these people to be unbanned. One of our head moderators, she basically says, stop complaining and get back to work or quit. And Zog basically mocking Zog, and he just responds with correct. And you can see where he just treats them horribly. He tells one of our moderators to check themselves for calling him out. There's a lot on him. There's an entire video of him. There is an entire video of him saying and doing some very crazy actions with a person on Omegle, where he was 17 at the time, I believe, when that video was posted, because it was posted about 6 months ago. But in that video, he was basically allowing a adult man to jerk off to his face and do some very concerning actions. People who dislike Zog, so the current RMA game is actually stolen. It doesn't even belong to Zog. Zog took that game from Dang It, the original RMA owner. He then proceeded to sell that game to another individual by the name of Milk for 100k Robux. Milk, of course, accepted and gave Zog 100k Robux, on which Zog then ran with the game, and uploaded his own version of the game. Well, Milk was not very happy about that, so Milk made a document that consists of everything on Zog, NXT, and Cupid, which NXT and Cupid were, NXT is a former server manager or staff supervisor, and Cupid's a current dev, and basically exposed everything that they had done in the server as well, where NXT is a major racist who makes jokes about basically raping babies, and he just says a lot of things. They also have some other staff, one by the name of Spark, KT, and Diamond Pasta. Spark has a bunch of not safe work furry avatars. If you look up Spark's name in Catalog Avatar Creator, you will find them dressed up as a bunch of goonish avatars that have blush, avatars that have barely any clothes on. And Diamond Pasta is a Nazi and a Nazi supporter who people have found screenshots in other Discord servers that they've been in of them sending Nazi images and sending Nazi flags and basically telling somebody that they were going to rape them and a lot of other stuff. So there's really a lot when it comes to Zoglin. We've tried for a really long time to tell him to chill out, and a lot of people have. And it just seems that he wanted to actually demote the entire staff team recently, and all of this other stuff that our head moderators had to re-promote a few of our mods because he fired them for speaking up against him. And I'm guessing that he was going to get rid of more people, but they were able to stop him. So that pretty much sums up some of it, but I know that there's a lot more that will probably be uncovered and is yet to be uncovered, and a lot more on him that other people have. I know that some of his former friends, YouTubers who don't talk to him anymore, also have evidence on him, but those guys are really hard to get in contact with, so, hopefully we will at some point.
So after hearing that, I was in shock with the amount of degenerate behavior Zoglin has gotten away with, and will probably continue to get away with unless action is taken. However, I did end up talking to one more person who testified against Zoglin. They were going to say this.
Zog started for me with he was okay, but the first thing that I really saw going on behind the scenes and everything is nothing was being mentioned at all. You could not really tell anything that was going on. He didn't talk with his community. There was one day I actually searched how many messages he sent, and there was only 100. versus the multiple hundred that our try mods and moderators had, it's obvious there's something going on, right? I looked at the staff logs and I saw that his friend NXT, I didn't know he was his friend at the time. He sent pictures of people's feet with like conditions, or he sent a corpse foot, and he also sent like just gross ass surgery photos from feet. From then on, you know, I kind of just like had the presumption that Zog was like a child in a way. Like, I know how old he is and everything, like he's 17, 18, around there. But from the start, he was really immature. You know, he laughs at like jokes, he laughs at slurs. It's mainly just shock humor, pretty much. Like, he's not like racist, but you know, like I've had plenty of friends in high school and shit where they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna say the N-word because it's funny. But it's not funny, especially when you get a public reputation to uphold like he had. He had, you know, 1,000 members at that time, or a little bit under 1,000 members, and it spread around like wildfire, and he didn't really care. Like, he never showed anyone he cared. For some reason, I think out of spite, he started unbanning people for no reason recently. Me and Wakes were pretty sure he was doing it for players, because, you know, the people that like shocking people the most usually play the game the most, because they find any server they can to get attention in. So he was like, hey, let's unban these people so he can get players, pretty much like recurring players, because the good players were leaving because Zog was slowly, inch by inch, getting exposed. You know, there's a document on him from Milk, and there was just overall like a lot of conversation about either public screenshots that they sent around and stuff. There was a raid that they planned, but I got access to that and shut it down before it could happen. Our community was constantly on edge, you know, like wondering like what's gonna happen, or like, you guys remember Zog? And everybody was like, hi Zog, you know what, like hi in general and everything, but everybody really didn't know anything about him, and all they knew so far was that he was a bad person. So it put our community on edge, it put our moderators on edge. After this unbanning thing, I came up with a plan because we were getting tired of everything, and recently we had just, or like the outline of a plan to slowly bombard him with shit. And like, I hate to do that to someone, but if you don't take accountability for anything and you're kind of just shut down like that, that's the only way to get you to stop what you're doing. Like, it's funny in the moment, I get that, it's funny in the moment, but when someone does bring it up to you and say, hey, that's not funny, you should at least say, I'm sorry, it wasn't funny. He just didn't say anything at all, and that was the main problem, because that gave us the message that you suck. Like, you're selfish, you're a narcissist, you're pretty much running a dictatorship because nobody else can talk about it. Like, I get that you don't want to revisit what you're doing and visit your actions, but you have to. You know, I get that he just wanted his inch of fame, his second of fame, but you can't really do that when you're so childlike, as much as he is. Common personality type, but not for someone who's owning a community as big as this one, or as impactful as this one. And he lied about a lot of stuff too. You know, he said, oh, the person in the document isn't me, it's just my friend. That isn't my friend anymore. He said he was 25 in a ticket. He said he was older. He said he was younger. And Zog didn't do anything for that. Zog didn't apologize, didn't say anything about it, didn't make announcements. He didn't even talk in general. Wouldn't talk about anything. Overall, he's just a weird kid that needs to get his shit together before trying to own a community, and he also needs to be a lot more original. He's still on like 3 games now. And I get, you know, you do it once and you hate it, and you think, hey, oh my god, I get so much Robux for this. It doesn't look good on your part. You know, it makes people suspicious of you, and especially that paired with everything else you've done, it makes people go after you and target you. And he asked in general a couple times, I don't know, what is with people with exposing me lately? I hate that our game is shadow banned. You know, it's just like, he's so oblivious to everything, he doesn't really understand that his actions have consequences. I think he should have stopped after his please donate raid. You know, there's no benefit from owning a raid and avatar community besides making the community better, and he didn't advocate for that at all. Overall, he's made really bad decisions, and he can recover eventually, but probably in a very long time. If you have like a community that you're getting silenced in, or like someone that you speak out against in any way, don't be afraid to speak out. You know, encourage people in your same rank or encourage fellow members to just bombard them with that shit, because there is no other way to get them out. There really isn't. Like, bringing individual things to their DMs and trying to have like a grown-up conversation with them isn't going to work because they're not grown up themselves. You kind of need to use brute force. You know, that's the only way to get people out of power. And it sucks, but what else are we going to do? Can't stay quiet forever.
During this investigation, many documents were released with evidence of Zoglin's actions, and because of these documents and the people that were asking YouTubers such as myself and Parlo to cover the allegations, it would soon be revealed to Zoglin that he was getting exposed, and this would cause him to go into full-on panic mode, trying anything possible to cover up for himself. Even I got into direct contact with him, and when asked about the allegations, he would just respond with a gif, trying to be comedic about the situation. However, in a leaked conversation that took place just the other day, it can be seen that Zoglin admits he left the RMA and will come back sometime soon, and that he is being pressed for the ownership. This is because in order for Rate My Avatar to move on and recover from what happened, they need a new owner. Zoglin is unfit and clearly can't moderate his community properly if it means less dollars in his bank account. But that is everything I know as of now to do with Zoglin. I believe he is trying to take a break, but will probably come back and do the same thing he has done for years. However, this takes us to one of Zoglin's main affiliates, ex-server manager of the Rate My Avatar Discord and admin of RMA in Roblox. This is somebody who goes under the name NXT, Draco, or Sage NXT. This is a person that Zoglin has endorsed and worked with for years despite his deplorable actions, showing once again that Zoglin will excuse any deplorable action someone has committed in order to benefit himself. The problem with NXT is that he was an active racist and would spam the hard R a lot. He has said some extremely horrible things related to black people and has some very, let's say, interesting views about them. He is also homophobic and uses the F slur in the Rate My Avatar Discord, despite the fact he was supposed to be a server manager who looks out for the members of the community. He also has a very long track record of using the hard R in public conversation, again when he is supposed to be a respected figure within the community. NXT would even say really disgusting shit like this, where he describes what he would do with a newborn baby. However, after being exposed within the RMA community, he would soon announce that he is quitting Roblox for good. However, to nobody's surprise, would pop up as an admin not even a few days later under a different alias. In the announcement where he said he was quitting, it can also be shown that his Roblox account would be banned, but not just for anything. He would be banned for child endangerment. Whatever that could possibly mean, we don't know. However, it cannot be good. But like I said, NXT would soon be back in the community, but this time on an alt account under the name Sage NXT. And he still didn't stop this degenerate behavior, saying homophobic slurs in general and even threatening Muddy, the same person that had his explicit photos of him leaked when he was 16 years old by Zoglin. Fully schizophrenic type behavior, as we can see here. However, after getting banned under the name Sage NXT, he would return once again, however this time going under the name Draxo, where he can even be asking Cupidities, who at the time was a co-owner of both the Rate My Avatar Discord server and Roblox game. NXT would ask him if he can have his server manager rank back in RMA, and to this day, NXT still works with and alongside Zoglin, maybe not on the Discord, but definitely still on Zoglin's games. Also, I would like to point out that he has been commenting under my community post before I could even finish this video, which just proves that he has direct ties to Zoglin. However, this takes us to the last person on my list, a user who went under the name Diamond Pasta. Diamond Pasta was an admin of Coupland Studios, which let me remind you is owned by Zoglin. He was also a senior mod for the Rate My Avatar Discord server, as well as being an admin on the game. Diamond Pasta was one very racist and controversial member. He was another loser admin who was a Nazi. He would say KKK chants in the public Discord, say extremely horrific things, and he wouldn't stop. I might add he was fired recently, however, is probably still working with Zoglin under a different alias because, as we all know, Zoglin likes to forgive some of the worst people on earth. In this screenshot, we can see the admin posting Nazi flags as some sort of weird joke, saying the hard R and literally threatening a race of people, saying stuff that I cannot even repeat on YouTube, but you can see on screen now. This dude is horrible. horrible. More N-words, even reciting the KKK song. Now, giving this admin the benefit of the doubt that these were all just edgy jokes, and he doesn't actually feel this way, it still isn't appropriate to make these types of jokes regardless, let alone in a Discord server themed around a children's Roblox game. Now, Zogland and the rest of the people on this list would quickly catch wind that they were going to be exposed, and in an attempt, they would try wiping all the proof in all of the Discord servers. And this was all done on the 5th of January 2025. Everything was purged from most, if not all channels. This was an attempt to cover up any evidence that hadn't been documented thus far, so who knows what else could have been revealed if the Discord servers weren't all wiped. To this day, they are still switching the holder accounts around almost daily to keep ownership of all of the Roblox games, groups, and servers. And that concludes my investigation into Roblox's most disgusting developer and game owner. Some Roblox communities can not only be filled with very disturbing people, but in the case of Rate My Avatar, it was the owners of the game who were disturbing. And it just goes to show that no matter how big the moderation team could be for a game, everything will ultimately be up to the owner. My thoughts is I personally think this is inevitable in a community like Roblox's. With it being so insanely popular but yet so diverse in who plays it, we will only continue to see more cases like Rate My Avatar, where most people who play the game are normal people or kids, but all it takes is for a few shady staff members and some horrible players to flip a community completely upside down. But as always, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy content like this, please make sure to subscribe, and if you want to watch something similar to this, click the video on screen now.